Okay, so most of you already received the paper. Now, the instruction will be is this. For each word, I want you to rearrange the letters to form a new word. Again, I want you to rearrange the letters to form a new word. We will do it one at a time. So maybe we can start with the first first word. Once you are done, your group should raise their hands. Let's go now to the second word. Rearrange the letters in the second word to form a new word. Okay, it seems that one particular group is fast. Okay, let's go to the third word. You may start rearranging the letters of the third word and raise your hand if you're done. Okay, so you may put your hands down. So it seems that one group is faster than the other. Am I right? The thing is, you have two different sets of words. This group right here got a more difficult set of words as compared to this one. Now, for those people who received the impossible words, you might be thinking of this. Why bother answering the third word wherein I answered the first two words wrong? Am I right? Right? That is where it all begins. You stop trying, not because you are incapable, not because you are lazy, but you started thinking that any effort that you put will just go to waste. And that is what learned helplessness is. But what is learned helplessness? Learned helplessness is the idea or the psychological phenomena experimented by Martin Seligman. It is believed that individuals who encounter repeated failures tend to have a mindset of helplessness. In other words, if they keep on failing and failing, even if they know what they are doing, they wouldn't bother doing it anymore. As an educator in mathematics, I feel heartbroken every time I see students who has the potential, who has the capabilities, but does not do any effort in improving themselves, simply because they failed a lot of times. For students, learned helplessness does not only happen in laboratories, but it also happens in schools. Now, I want you to raise your hand if you are encountering one of these problems in your classes. Raise your hand if you are encountering academic competition. Raise your hand if you're encountering social media comparison, the difficulty of standardized testing, the pressure of constant grading, or even finding the right university. Okay, I see a lot of hands raising. So, the problem is when students encounter situations wherein success is very hard to reach, they just give up easily and they change their mindset. From a student failing just one test, they will conclude, maybe I'm not good enough for everything. For a student who doesn't understand one lesson, they will probably say, I'm just bad in math. Or simply, whenever they compare themselves with their other classmates who answers quicker than them, they will probably conclude that people like me never succeed. When individuals encounter these short setbacks, such as failing a test or not understanding a lesson, when they encounter this and they internalize that it's their identity, they lose the opportunity to grow. Generations before, or students in previous generations, only compare themselves with their classmates. But now, students compare themselves with the world through the internet. Every day, social media shows stories of success, stories of acceptance letters, stories of perfect grades. What it fails to show are the challenges, the failures, the self doubt those individuals have to endure in order to reach success. When students start comparing themselves with the success of others, they internalize that they will not succeed anymore. They might ask themselves, why am I taking so long to be successful? And when this thinking comes into mind, they invest less effort. Less effort invested means that they will get low results. Once they get low results, it just justifies the idea that they will never succeed. And therefore, it starts a vicious cycle of learned helplessness. But the thing is, learned helplessness can be unlearned. The first step is to stop thinking what common people say about failure. We need to change what failure means in our lives. So maybe instead of saying, I cannot do this, change your mindset. Change it to, I cannot do this yet. That one word changes the perspective of failure as a final judgment to failure as part of the learning process. Successful people never starts as successful. Experts probably experience failure once in their lifetime. Albert Einstein, for example, did not get to the university that he wanted. Marie Curie, or should I say Maria Sklodowska, failed a lot of experiments because of inexperience. These failures built them to who they are right now. For them to succeed, they need to experience what failure feels and to learn from it. Now, the challenge is for schools, for teachers, yes, I am talking to myself as well, and for parents, we need to create an environment for our students wherein they feel safe to make mistakes, wherein they are free to try and do it again. We need to make sure that learning is not something of a weakness, or rather, we need to show them that making mistake is not an evidence of weakness, rather an evidence of learning. Before I leave, I want you to think of this. Think of one thing that you've convinced yourself that you are never good at. Again, think of one thing, one skill that you've convinced yourself that you're never good at. My question is that a fact? Are you really not good at it? Or is it just an idea you implanted to yourself? Failing thrives on the idea that impossible is change. But schools or education at its best thrives on the opposite idea. That people can grow, that effort matters, and that who you are today does not determine who you can become tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and that is all.